why wasn't Jackson Holliday called up? And I think a lot of people are going to be asking that question. Rip also had his take. He knew people would be asking that. So let's listen to what Ryan has to say about why Jackson Holliday is still in the minors.
Okay, and another thing, the question is, why wasn't Jackson Holliday called up? Why don't you bring the kid back up? Well, look, I think what happened initially, Mike Elias was more of the impulse feeling. You want to see it happen, and you brought Jackson up maybe before he was fully ready, at least where the analytics and the forecasting was, right? So now that Jackson's down, there's no real reason to rush him back up. Yeah, he's a talented player. I'd love to see Jackson back in the big leagues, but if you want him to get more at-bats, and I think looking at it more and really dissecting it, getting close to 1,000 at-bats in the minor leagues, I think is really valuable because then you can learn yourself. And then really after those 1,000 at-bats, you kind of have an idea of what you need to do. So for Jackson, people forget, he just skyrocketed through the system. Let him season a little bit. He's going to be just fine, and he's going to make an impact on the team. But in the meantime, depending on how long Connor Norby is going to be up, give a guy that's a talented player that's a little bit older, Connor Norby, getting the chance to showcase what he can do, because this is also looking at, is Connor Norby going to have the chance to be with the Baltimore Orioles long term, or is this a chance for Connor Norby to showcase and really audition for other teams? I want to see Norby in Baltimore for the long term, but we know business is business. So it's nothing personal with Jackson. This could be the best thing for him, but Connor Norby is the one that deserves a shot right now.
All right, so two things with this. The first thing is that Ryan said something about how just mentioned about Elias being a little bit impulsive. Yeah, he said impulse, so I'm just going to use it. So impulsive with calling Jackson Holliday up. I disagree with that. I think that Mike Elias, and we interviewed him, we talked to him, and you were there, Zach.
Yeah,
he said specifically that when you have a phenom like that that's never seen failure, he kind of wants him to see how he handles himself through that adversity. So it's almost as if Elias called him up knowing that he was going to fall on his face, send him back down and have him deal with that and work through it. And we're seeing him kind of come back in the minors, but bringing Norby up, I think, was just better because of the experience that he brings to the table. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that's very, very accurate to, I think, what happened, because they wanted to see what Jackson Holliday would do against major league talent, and then you send him down. It didn't work out. And I don't think enough time had passed for them to feel like sending him back down was truly worth it.
Yeah.
Because when they sent him back down, they were like, hey, we're going to give you 2 months down there to fail. You go down there. And when he got back down there, there was still a mental barrier. He was not playing well when he first got down there.
Yep.
And now I think he's like a 10-game hit streak. He's got his on-base percentage and average is flying up again. And he's looking like the Jackson Holliday we know. He's getting 3-hit games. He's getting on base 2 to 3 times a game, including walks. And he's finally getting back in that rhythm. And I don't think they wanted to be like, oh, okay, he's finally getting back into a rhythm, settling down. Let's jerk him back to the majors and then send him right back down once Mateo's back.
Yeah.
It just made too much sense for this to be Norby, because it's like, hey, here's a guy who we want to see what he can do in the majors. We haven't seen him yet. If he does something well, then okay, we have we have another situation where we have a lot of good players. If he doesn't, it's not the end of the world. We're going to give him 7 days and then see what he can do. Send him back when we get Mateo back.
Right. And I think, too, it's almost going back to the conversation we had a few minutes earlier of with Jackson, if he's up, he has to stay.
Yes.
Right? And I still think that what's the conversation we just had? When Mateo comes back for Norby, okay, you feel a little better sending him back down than Jackson.
Right.
Worst case for Jackson is he gets sent down. Best case is, again, he's in a platoon with Mateo, who's playing great. They DFA Urias, or they shorten the bullpen, and they should not be shortening the bullpen right now in any way, shape, or form.
No.
So it made more sense, right? Jackson has a long-term place on this team. Connor Norby, unfortunately, unless there's a major path opened up, I don't see it. Doesn't take away from the player he is, but for Jackson, having him stay down and continue to work through a couple more things, like Ryan said, you don't have to rush him back up. I think the plan is working, and he is working to be the best player he can be. You don't have to, at the first sign of an injury, just rush him back up and say, okay, here we go. You can have it play its course out, take its time, and I think that's the right decision.
Yeah, and that's why I think that what I had said before, my initial take on this with Elias wanting to kind of see if Holiday was going to fail, and that plan seems to be working itself out. The second half of what Ryan had said about Norby being there long term, and you kind of touched on it there, Kevin. That was kind of the thing that Rip had also said, that I hope he stays in Baltimore long term. Look, I think we all hope that all these guys can stay in Baltimore long term, but the fact of the matter is that it's just not possible.
Right. Yeah.
So you're either going to go with Connor Norby or you continue to develop Jackson Holliday, your number one prospect. We know what's going to happen. The writing's on the wall here. You're calling Connor Norby up because out of necessity. You need to replace him with Mateo right now. So you're just doing that. And then also, like you had said, Zach, showcasing him to seeing if there's any sort of trade value there. I think that's the play.